Hey, what's up, friends? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Raf Esparza, coming to you live right now. It is 12:14 Best Coast time, and I think you know that means you're getting another show, which means another interview, which means more content for you in this age of COVID. But before we go any further, speaking of COVID, if you've gotten too fat for your rash guards, again, I'm just speaking about myself, not about you guys personally, you can go ahead and buy some gear from our sponsor, Nogi BJJ Gear. Go to Nogi BJJ Gear. Put something in the cart, maybe a rash guard that says Corona Weight Champ. I don't know. I don't know what you're into. I don't know what you need, but buy a size up because guess what? It just makes you feel better. Nobody likes little short rash guards that are just trying to make you a little bit pudgier in the areas you're not pudgy. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying to you is use the promotional code Grappling Hour 15, take 15% off of whatever you put in the cart. Anyway, our guest today, friend of Verbal Tap, friend of yours, I'm sure, done incredible work. They have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for cancer research. I think they're one of the leading tournaments out in the world. They always come out to California, and I'm always very sad when I'm not able to go. So this year specifically, I was very sad I wasn't able to get to see them. But I can tell you this. Just because a pandemic is here does not mean we will not be seeing their presence felt within the jiu-jitsu community. So we have brought the man himself, the man behind Tap Cancer Out, Jon Thomas, to tell us what they have in store. Jon, how you doing, sir? Good to see you back on the show.
Thanks for having me, Ralph. I'm doing well.
Excellent, man. Well, I see you're branded out with one of your hats. It looks good. I always love seeing the branding. And then you've got what you're wearing, the T-shirt that almost looks like you're an X-Men as well.
It's like a quarter zip type thing, just for TCO staff only. Sorry.
Oh, so I can't get.
But anyone can get the hat. No, you can't.
Oh wow, what an exclusive club, man! You should probably get some staff members who try to sell that on eBay then, because I'll tell you that just telling me I can't have it makes me want to have it all.
Exactly. That's the point.
Well, first and foremost, how have you been doing in the age of COVID? What have you been up to?
We've been doing okay. You know, at the beginning, we actually, all of this, the ball sort of dropped, I guess, early to mid-March. Our Connecticut tournament was scheduled for March 28th. And that's our biggest tournament of the year. It's our longest running tournament. We were set to raise over 300,000, welcome almost 1,000 competitors, have our Connecticut sub-only showcase, all of that stuff. So that was pretty rough to have to sort of pivot with only 2 weeks left. A lot of people had done amazing work, not just like training for it, but obviously fundraising for it as well. So we pushed that off to August, and then ultimately had to cancel the tournament itself. The showcase will still happen. And then it eventually mowed down all of our spring tournaments, which were all going to be new cities, which that was a bummer. So some cities like Denver, Kansas City, Dallas, Jacksonville, all places we really wanted to go, and we were excited to sort of add to this year. So we couldn't do that. And then just recently, we took off all our 2020 tournaments for this calendar year. So we did host San Diego and Phoenix in the beginning of the year, which were super successful, and we were sort of set for a really big year. But then the rest didn't happen, for obvious reasons. And, we have to be super duper safe. We are a health-based nonprofit organization. There can't be a Jiu-Jitsu Times article that says, the Tap Cancer Out Austin Open is a COVID super spreader type thing. I mean, it could literally bury our brand and our company and, what is my wife and my livelihood. So, and we just would never want to put somebody in that situation. So it's better if we just hold off until we know that sort of everyone is, we have a unanimous agreement that it's safe to host tournaments again, rather some sort of a split. Other tournaments can do that. It's their prerogative. But for us, we just have to keep things super safe. So that's what we did. So it was just sort of managing that whole process. And, obviously we expected a lot of fundraising to come in throughout the whole year. We had promised our beneficiaries $1 million this year. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So once we sort of figured out how to survive, then we had to figure out different ways to pivot. Okay, we're not doing tournaments, but there were things on the back burner that we had always wanted to do and just never had the time because we were always hosting events. And that takes up so much of our time, and they're so successful. So, just stick with what works. But we'd always wanted to get a monthly recurring donation program. So people who give monthly, which most other nonprofits have, very famously. And we wanted to get an ambassador program going that you see a lot of jiu-jitsu brands do. Obviously, we would do it a little differently as a nonprofit, but we just have tons of people who are super fans. And we wanted to reward them and repay them and officially crown them sort of and showcase them. So we had always wanted to do those things. We never had the time. Well, we got nothing but time now. So we hopped on those things and we set up the recurring monthly giving program. We called that the Podium. We wanted 50 Podium members within the first month, and we had it within a week and a half, I think. Obviously the people who are super vested, friends and family and things like that, who just want to see Tap Cancer out, not only survive and succeed, I guess. And then we opened applications for our ambassadors, and we got hundreds and hundreds of applications. So we started accepting them in waves. It's a lot of hands-on work with them, so you can only manage so many people at once. So we've accepted 3 waves of 20 or so people. So we have almost 60 ambassadors now as we speak. So we got that up and running. We still have new merch items coming in, so that's been really exciting. We've been able to devote a little more time, promoting those and getting excited, doing random giveaways, free gift with every purchase on a random day when I was feeling bored and wanted to do something and generate some orders. So people really like that. We never canceled our showcases. We had to be careful about where, we were sending our team. So we were supposed to have a Chicago and an Austin sub-only showcase. So those are our nighttime super fight style events, similar to Fight to Win. But we don't want to fly any of our team anywhere. So we canceled those. We added 2 to replace those, Charlotte and Baltimore, which, our team, because we're Northeast located, we can drive to these. We still have Connecticut on August 15th. And we'll still have Philadelphia and Massachusetts. So in total, we'll still have 5 showcases. So we can still host some events, which is great. And we can do it safely and effectively. And, we can, obviously no spectators, we're streaming them for free. And just making sure everyone is safe. So we'll have a ton of protocols in place. And then, of course, most recently, we launched Global Grappling Day, which was sort of our way to give people a way to continue all of the fundraising momentum they had created for the dozens of tournaments we had scheduled, but then had to cancel. So we wanted to create an event that we could sort of all do from anywhere, but do it safely, not with a big group, not a big glorified open mat or anything, but still give somebody something to motivate our fundraisers and an event that they could sort of look forward to. And so we're really excited about that. We launched that just yesterday, and it's been super well received. And then those things that we had set up prior, like the ambassadors, we told the ambassadors ahead of time, they got their pages set up ahead of time. So when we launch it, we already have dozens of fundraising pages set up on there. All the ambassadors have their graphics ready, and they were flooding the feed, and it's just support like I've never seen before. We used to get a lot of it organically, but now, we were able to sort of formulate it. And so it shot out of a cannon. So I think, people are really excited about that, especially because we've always been sort of location based. If somebody in Seattle wanted to support Tap Cancer Out, it's really hard. You'd have to travel far to go to one of our tournaments or host your own Grapplethon, which is a lot of work as well, as we found out. So, and really not something people can do safely now with, a large group of students. So literally anyone, anywhere in the world can take part. And that's sort of a nut we've always been trying to crack. So I'm happy that we're able to do that.
All right, there's a lot to
Yeah.
decompartmentalize here. So let's start first and foremost with, obviously you're going to have these 5 showcases, and what is your vision for the showcases? Because you've done 1 or 2 before. I'm not exactly sure how many you've done before this.
We have done 3 in their full, beautiful form with the stage and, lights and stuff. Our very first one was at Connecticut last year. It was sort of a showcase light. It was black belts only. We bought, the custom, the 25 square foot mat area that eventually went onto the stage. But so we had a separate mat area. It was just black belts. Most of the black belts from the area that had supported us for a really long time. We still had like 20 or so matches, which is really good considering it's all black belts. And it was great. People loved it. We didn't charge anything. It was just sort of tournament adjacent, literally a few feet away from the regular tournament mat. So anyone could walk over and watch it. We streamed it. So in the, it got the black belts involved, which was really good because and I can speak to it being a black belt now. I don't compete nearly as much as I used to. And so it's hard to get the black belts sort of into the tournament because there's just not a ton that want to compete. They're there to coach anyways, that sort of thing. But if we give them one fight, that's a little different. They can get ready for that, especially if it's at night too. So they'll go to the tournament during the day, coach their students. And then at night, all the students come and watch their instructor fight. So it was very successful the first time, and then we just deployed it at our Chicago, Philly, and Massachusetts tournaments. And it was a learning process, as any new events are, but it was more and more successful every single time. We got better and better. Of course, now we have to completely pivot the way they're structured. No spectators allowed. And if we don't have spectators, we don't really need a stage. And that's a way to sort of save on costs. And also dealing with, we don't need a big venue anymore if we're just having this smaller showcase and not an accompanying tournament. So we're moving it to just jiu-jitsu schools. So we've almost nailed down all 5 locations. But, finding a jiu-jitsu schools that have a really good space that allow us a nice sort of primary mat area for the competition take place, another mat area for people to warm up. A lot of our staging area will be outside, so people in the outdoors and safe and stuff like that. So, it was just figuring out like what those protocols would be, how we keep the room to 25 people or under, which I'm confident we'll do, and just making it safe for every single person there. Obviously, we have to go way overboard. So I want to be the jiu-jitsu event that looks like it's going way overboard with its safety precautions. Like our refs will walk around in like big bubble hazmat suits or something. Like, there's a lot of obviously shows like that are still going on, and you just see sort of various levels of safety. But yeah, we're going to be super safe because, obviously at the end of the day, there's some risk. There's 2 people rolling around in each other's sweat that probably don't train with each other that much. So there is a little bit of risk. We're just trying to mitigate that as much as possible and still put on a safe event so people can compete, because obviously now they're itching to compete and continue our mission as well.
I would imagine there are a lot of people who want to compete right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was curious, the more I think of it, and every time you mention Connecticut, I always have to take a moment and realize how many events actually end up going out that way. I can't think of a ton of events that I see always happening like that are showcase events out your way. So I think it's a pretty good thing that you provide a venue and a forum for a lot of these guys who might not get the calls from your fight to wins, or even as recently the BJJ Fanatics starting to do some. That they are pulling people from all over, but there is a deep neglected part that I think a lot of people want to show their art.
Definitely. And especially the super fight style, especially the lower belt you are, the more enjoyable it is, I think, because, at most tournaments, especially when I was competing, I went to many tournaments by myself without even a coach. So, I'd win a match and you'd hear a pin drop, Like there's not one person supporting me there. So, you know, like nobody cares about any of the matches that are going on at a regular tournament. So to flip it on its head and to have all of this pomp and circumstance around your fight, which probably anyone could see at an amateur tournament anyways and not care. But they do care when it's sort of put on a pedestal. So everyone loves that experience, myself included. I've done Fight to Win, and it was awesome. It was an unbelievable experience. And so we wanted to give that to our competitors. You know, we were looking for a way to do an event like this just to diversify our events anyways, but also to get higher belts involved, to get larger names involved, but also to get no-gi people involved. You know, our tournaments are gi only, and they're going to stay gi only for the foreseeable future. So we had a lot of no-gi people who were like, I want to compete for you, but I'm not putting that gi on. And so this is another way where I was like, okay, well, if we do a showcase, like, you know, a super fight thing, then, you know, we can get all sort of styles involved. And I think, you know, the fundraisers sort of appreciate it as well. So, and when it comes to our events too, you know, like a lot of these super fight events are trying to attract really big names, especially if they need sort of viewerships for their streams or whatever. And I would love to have really big names. Of course, that would be fantastic. But, you know, we're trying to make the most impact possible. So I want people on the card who are going to fundraise and who are going to spread the word and who are going to try to help us, you know, achieve our mission and help us take the fight to cancer. So, you know, ultimately, I care more about what they're doing off the mat than what happens on, you know? So once they get there, and this is the same with our tournament, like once they get there, I want whatever happens on the mat to just be sort of a fun celebration of everything that's come before it. So a lot of these people, this is the first time they've ever had a super fight like this. So, and especially now without any sort of regular competition opportunities, tournament opportunities, we expect when we open applications on August 17th for the 4 remaining dates that we're going to get flooded with people, because we accept blue belts and up. Obviously, we fill it top down. We're going to try to get as many black belts matches as possible, and then we go down the ladder. But also, if you're a huge supporter of ours, you're going to hop to the front of the line. If you're an ambassador, you're getting on any showcase card you want. You know, you can't get on all of them because we want to get more people involved. But if you haven't fought on one, you want to get on one, or, you know, one card a year, you're going to get on it because you've proven that you want to support the cause. So that's really what we're looking for. You know, I'm never doing this to get, you know, to hopefully Flow Grappling pays for the streaming rights or something like that. That is the furthest from my mind. You know, we just want to give people an opportunity to have an amazing experience and have people watching from home and, you know, just have an experience that is completely opposite of the traditional tournament experience. So,
well, all things
a lot of people love it.
Sure, that it's almost like the athlete would have to be in the spirit of what this is, almost like they'd have to donate their time if they're these high profile people. They're used to probably commanding X amount of dollars, where the mission statement of what you guys are doing is, hey, listen, we're trying to raise money for other people, not necessarily pump it into you. So it's not really true to the mission statement to be like, hey, I'm going to pay you X many thousands to show up at this event, when that money could be benefited for people who are true to what we're looking to do here.
Sure. I mean, listen, we pay for lots of things. I mean, you know, we pay for our referees to work there, and, you know, we pay for our MC, and we pay for a lot of things. But it all depends. Do I think I'll see a return paying some high name competitor $10,000 to come compete at our tournament, our showcase? I'm probably not going to see a good enough return on that to do that. So I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. But, you know, it all comes down to ROI. You know, I will pay, you know, we pay for podcast sponsorships, and we pay for Facebook ads, and we pay for lots of things that are going to help spread the awareness. But yeah, when it comes down to like, what does a big name competitor do for your card? You know, it depends on what your goals are. If your goals are to get views, yeah, Gordon Ryan's going to get eyeballs on whatever he does. Everybody wants to watch him. So if that's your goal, yeah, or if, you know, selling tickets or anything like that. But, you know, our average fundraiser raises over $500. Plus with the showcase, they sell tickets too. So that's a pretty big impact that they're making. You'd have to sell a lot of tickets to match what some of these people are doing just in their fundraising pages alone. I mean, the top fundraisers will raise at a showcase, or even at the tournaments, $5,000 to $10,000. So they do incredible work. So we want to reward them. We want to reward the people who are making the most impact by putting the spotlight on them.
I'm also curious about what the conversations between your benefactors sounded like when you did have COVID, because these are people in research fields that understand science. Yeah. So while I'm sure they're pretty bummed in one respect, I think they pretty much understand what's going on here. So what was that like when you were having to tell them, like, hey, listen, we're going to have to cancel these tournaments? Did they already look at you and go, we know?
So they're all nonprofits, just like us, I mean, we don't work with like hospitals or any places like that directly. So everyone we work with is a 501c3 nonprofit. A lot of them are event-based too. Alex's Lemonade Stand, they make a majority of their funding off of lemonade stands, off of kids hosting lemonade stands. And that's hard to do right now. Yep. I mean, people are doing it, but not nearly at the rate that they would do that. So, another one of Camp Sunshine is another one of our beneficiaries up in Maine. They host weekly retreats for families who are dealing with pediatric cancer. And they obviously can't be hosting camps right now. So everybody is sort of feeling the burn of COVID when it comes to nonprofits. So we all sort of understood what was coming. I've continually updated them on what updates, we have, and a number of them call me personally just to see how we're doing, which is really appreciated. But, one thing we knew pretty early that we were just trying to stay above water and trying to keep myself, my wife, and Dave, our 3 full-time employees, employed. So that was our primary goal in, dealing with all of the grants and the PPP and like all of that stuff. That was our main focus. And so we knew that we weren't giving them some massive gift at the end of the year. I basically told them very early, we're not giving you any gift this year. Like, I can't promise you anything, but we were going to only work with our beneficiaries for 1 year. And then we were going to turn it around and pick from a new crop, with some of them returning for a second year. I mean, this is Alex's Lemonade Stand's 3rd year. So if they're a great partner, we'll work with them. But we've actually gotten big enough where instead of working with just 1 beneficiary, we actually work with 9, I think. So we're sort of a grant maker now. So they basically tell us what they're going to do with the money, and it's various levels from $50,000 all the way up to $250,000. So we've already, and this is sort of across the board for Tap Cancer Out, we are rinsing and repeating in 2021. So our exact plan for 2020 is now going to take place in 2021, down to the schedule. With a lot of the venues, we said, keep our deposit, book the same weekend next year. Like, we are going to have almost the exact same identical schedule. Our West Coast tournaments might actually get pushed sort of more towards the middle of the year, just so if there's still issues going on in early February, those don't get mowed down either. But so there may be some tinkering there, but otherwise, like, our fall schedule is basically going to stay exactly the same. Our spring schedule is basically going to stay the same. So now we've got a lot of the planning for 2021 down. We know our beneficiaries, we know almost all of our tournament dates. So we're getting that set pretty early, which is nice. And then we can just do it all over again. And so I'm very confident that what we promised them in 2020, we are going to be able to give them much more in 2021, because of the things we talked about earlier. We're going to go back into 2021 with all of our tournaments, but with the support of all of those back burner things that we never had, that we finally implemented. So we'll still have, 22 tournaments and 5 showcases or 7 showcases. Plus we have the monthly recurring giving for 12 full months. Plus we're going to have Global Grappling Day. Plus we're going to have all the support of our ambassadors that we've never had before. So we have all of these things sort of fueling the vehicle that is Tap Cancer Out. So we'll come out of this better than ever. We're like, it would have been great to have a full 2020 and be as successful as we had hoped, but I think we're going to have a better 2021 than we would have if this pandemic didn't happen, if that makes sense.
Understood. I do have to ask, though, this is nothing to do with pandemic, but there is a hard line on making these Ghee tournaments. Why is there a hard line on making these Ghee tournaments?
Very simple. So if you are hosting a Ghee and a Nogi, it's basically 2 tournaments in the same day. Mm-hmm. You know, you run all those divisions and then you do it all again. Once we added kids and once our tournaments got bigger and bigger, you know, they were becoming longer and longer, and we were staying there till 7, 8 o'clock at night just for Ghee. If we added Nogi, it's even more and more. So then the tournament's got to stretch over 2 days, which some of our tournaments are now, even though they're Ghee only, are so big that they have to be 2-day tournaments. So like adults one day, kids the next day with the showcase, you know, Saturday evening. We were doing that for Connecticut, Massachusetts, Philly, and, you know, a few tournaments are sort of on the verge of doing that as well. If you add Nogi, it's a lot more work, but you're not getting the same return. So if you're a fundraiser and you raise $1,000, this is wonderful. Congratulations. You get all these awesome perks, by the way. And you sign up for Ghee. And so you do, if we offer a Nogi division as well, I'm not getting another $1,000 of fundraising from that. I'm just giving you basically a second tournament and spent, like, I'd rather fill the day with competitors of all ages and things like that than to host Ghee when there's just not that much of a return on basically doubling the size of the tournament, but I'm not going to raise any more money. Secondly, we did have Nogi tournaments for quite some time. It would be Ghee and Nogi. This was before we had kids, so it was just adults, Ghee and Nogi. Nogi, so if they do whatever they do first, I'm not going to blame this on Nogi. Whatever discipline they do first, you can expect about 40% of the competitors to drop out until like prior to when they're scheduled to do the next one. So we would have, you know, these great Nogi divisions ready, and then 6 out of the 8 people would come over and say, "Oh, my elbow. I'm not going to do Nogi, okay? You can keep the extra $20. I'm not going to do Nogi." That's great. Now I had an 8-person division. Now I have a 2-person division, and so now I got to try to either put those people somewhere else. So it would cause mass chaos. Everyone's pulling out, and I can, as a 40-year-old now, I can say the older they get, the more likely they are to not want to do the next one. And we found the same thing with absolutes. We don't offer absolutes because nobody wants to do them because everyone's tired after they do their first division. So, you know, you'd have these huge, you know, hundreds of blue belts, adults in our division, and 3 of them will sign up for the absolute because, like, everyone does their division and they're like, I'm done. Or, you know, the people who lose quick just go home. And the people who win have like fought 4 or 5 matches. They're exhausted. So, you know, we'd be yelling, absolutes, free absolute division. Anyone want to do absolute, absolute, absolute? And we'd have like a couple people come over, and then that's like not even compelling and still have to do. Trust me, people aren't as interested as they think they are in doing both disciplines sort of in the same day.
I get that. I was just curious because you could theoretically just do a Nogi tournament.
I could
have that, but I do understand one thing, which is you are traveling to different locations, so you get a one-shot deal at that location. So who knows?
Ghee is more popular than Nogi, hands down. So I'm going to do the discipline that will attract the most people. If there is a third discipline in jiu-jitsu that gets created, and it's not Ghee or Nogi, it's kilt jiu-jitsu, and everyone's, you know, wearing kilts, and you tell me that that's 3 times more popular than Ghee, we are only having kilt tournaments, okay? Like, I don't care what it is. I'm going to do the tournament that's going to draw the interest of the most competitors, and right now that's Ghee. So that's what we do.
For the love of everything holy, please do not have a kilt tournament, because there are a number of people who wear it traditionally.
Sure.
And I'm just saying,
we'd have to allow that. We'd have to allow traditional.
Not have to allow that. And more importantly, I don't know if you've ever seen the spats with shorts versus spats debate, but there are
Right.
too many interesting factors in that conversation that I say, don't need it. We're good here, friend. Okay, I just want to make sure, because I mean, listen, dude, I don't want the headline out of this, which is Jon Thomas tap cancers out, but not with Nogi.
Well, sign up for the showcase, and you can do all the Nogi you want. To be honest, most of the showcase fights are Nogi, so that's cool.
Okay.
Whatever works. But yeah, for the tournaments, it's just Ghee, especially because the kids are way more interested in Ghee than Nogi, and the kids are getting bigger and bigger at every tournament, and they're tremendous fundraisers as well. So we just focus on that. And there's also, like, I guess you could go with Nogi IBJJF rule sets, but that's not that fun. And if we went with a different rule set, now I need to find referees that understand the IBJJF rule book and our own rule set. It's a slippery slope. And I'll leave it at that.
That's fair. I'm going to ask, what is it that you're looking for ambassadors? Because this program, it's really cool. Like, going to see these things live, I have seen what passion a lot of the people who come to this tournament bring. They're very excited. It's great vibes. People tend to be in the best of spirits. And it's very warming to see that, as a guy who covers tons of events, where half the time, especially for tournaments, people just look at each other like, all right, let's just get this over with.
Right.
So it's a very rabid and happy fan base. But what are you specifically looking for those who may be into your brand, into the idea, into the concept, but they want to be ambassadors for your program?
It came from two things. Number one, I was always looking for a way to shine the light on the people who are going above and beyond, other than just me profusely thanking them all the time. There are some people who just do such an incredible job, not only fundraising, but a number of other things. Like, there are people who literally every new product we put on the store, they're the first one to buy it. Like, they have every single thing we've ever made with the Tap Cancer Out logo on it, except this. We've also, so anyways, that's one thing. I wanted to like thank them in some way, but also we would have a lot of people, being a sponsored athlete is a thing we see a lot in jiu-jitsu with jiu-jitsu brands. And people would, message me and be like, how do I get sponsored by Tap Cancer Out? And I'm like, well, we don't do that. I'm not going to send you like free gear and pay for your tournament entries and stuff. Like, what do I get out of that? Like, why not just sign up for a tournament and you can compete for free, and all you got to do is fundraise 250 or more. So we would never like sponsor an athlete in its truest sense. But being a brand ambassador, that's sort of a way to do that. So we get these sort of super fans who I want to sort of treat, in a better way, and give them a lot of rewards and perks and things like that they wouldn't otherwise get. But I also wanted to like bring everyone together as a community as well. And what's interesting is it's not just the people who take part in our events. One of our ambassadors, there were a few ambassadors that I told them they were voluntold that they were going to be ambassadors. You don't have a choice. You're going to be an ambassador because you are exactly how I define an ambassador. Like, one is a girl, Emily, who we actually had on our podcast, but she lives in Malaysia. She's a cancer survivor. She does jiu-jitsu, but she's like a jack of all trades. She does like aerial acrobatics and like stunt fighting and like choreography stuff. And she's a dancer, and she's just incredible. But she's always doing putting tons of content out there, but always wearing her Tap Cancer Out gear that we somehow got to Malaysia. Like, I don't even remember shipping it out there, but she had it. And so I was like, you're exactly what I want as an ambassador. So we have people all around the world. So a number of our ambassadors have never been to a Tap Cancer Out event in their life, and that's okay. Some are just prolific store customers. Some are prolific fundraisers. Some just won't shut up on their social media about how much they love Tap Cancer Out. Some aren't even active on social media, but they have volunteered at 12 different Tap Cancer Out tournaments. Like, there's a lot of different ways to sort of be a super fan of Tap Cancer Out. A lot of school instructors who, they didn't compete, but I could tell it was obvious because they were our top fundraising team a number of times that they were getting their entire school and their entire team involved in the cause and bringing dozens and dozens of people to our tournaments. And if they were interested in being an ambassador, they became an ambassador too. So there's a lot of different ways to get in it. And now it's a real community too. So everyone's supportive of each other. We have a private Facebook group where we'll announce lots of things ahead of time. So they all get a gift box that has whatever merch they don't yet have from Tap Cancer Out. We'll send out to them. They have their own 15% off discount code. They have their own friends and family discount code. We give prizes to the whoever sells the most merch with their code every month. We'll do random giveaways. They get to hear all of the news ahead of time, everything they know ahead of time, so nothing ever surprises them, and they can get a jump on certain things if they want. They'll always get first crack at any Tap Cancer Out gear, so it'll never be sold out. We'll make sure they get everything they want before we put it on the store, all that sort of stuff. And also it's a sounding board too. Like, these are the people who really care about us and are going to give us their honest opinion. So if I can't pick a shirt color, like I have a design and I can't pick the shirt color, or vice versa, I have these 2 t-shirt designs, which do you think is better? Anything like that. I've always looked for a sounding board, and now they've become that as well. So it's great. I love it. They've been tremendous, and they work tirelessly. I didn't really expect them to work this hard, but they are. They go really hard, and they come up with awesome ideas. Tons of ideas that we never even thought of. Different fundraising ideas and doing raffles, and they throw a lot of stuff by me that I'm like, oh, I've never thought of that. Yeah, that seems like a great idea. Go ahead. Or yeah, we'll do that. So they're helping sort of Tap Cancer Out navigate the course and come up with unique ideas for us to execute.
Excellent. Well, I mean, obviously it's a good group of people, and I think it's a really cool idea to have. Obviously with the pandemic, it's a little harder for them to do their full capacity, but at the same point, it's nice to know you've got this army waiting to be unleashed for when you do go back. So I think that is one of the benefits. Now, talk to me about this, because as a guy who has, with our podcast, every once in a while we come up with these days or hashtags or slogans, and sometimes some catch on that we wouldn't expect. Our whole WWE BJJ thing is almost an accident, but it's what goes with our territory. And then, silly things that we like to do on the show, but one that's very serious that I think is really cool is you doing the Global Grappling Day. So how did this come together?
So this has literally been an idea years in the making, but the problem was I didn't have an idea. I knew we needed to think of something that could galvanize the entire jiu-jitsu community, no matter where you were. But jiu-jitsu is inherently physical, intangible. You can't just do it wherever you are by yourself. That's not fun. So how do we have an event that everyone could take part in, but all separately? And to be honest, if this pandemic didn't happen, we would have never come up with this idea, because we saw so many people, sort of doing jiu-jitsu in their living rooms or in their backyards, or, it started forcing us to think of how could our supporters do something that is sort of still allowing them to be relatively socially distant. And it literally just hit me one day. I was trying to really figure out what is the thing that they have to do. Because, with a lot of these nonprofit events that are like bike rides or 5K, they're basically like, okay, we're not going to get together for the race. You continue to fundraise and then run 5K, run 5 kilometers on your own, and then post that you did it, and we'll all try to do it on the same day. Or like a bike ride, they're still doing, riding their miles on their own. What is the jiu-jitsu on your own thing? So that's where we came up with, the one partner for 1 hour. So as I'm sure you can attest, a consecutive 1 hour roll is going to be pretty hard. for my black belt test, I had to do that, but I was getting a fresh black belt or brown belt every 2 minutes. So that was a nightmare. But if you're with your buddy, it can be sort of a flow roll for the first 15 minutes. And of course, take a couple sips in between taps or whatever. Like I'm not going to be sitting over people with a stopwatch, but you try to roll for an hour straight. And it's kind of hard, a 60-minute round. But it's not impossible. We roll for an hour at, just an ordinary open mat. So everyone can do it if they put their mind to it. So it's sort of a medium-sized hurdle, which makes it interesting and sort of challenging, but you only need one person to do it. You could technically not do it at your jiu-jitsu school if it's not open. You could do it in your, throw a mat down in your backyard or do it in your living room or whatever. But, with only one person, it's more safe relatively, but it's still jiu-jitsu. You're still rolling. It's still an hour, and it's really interesting if you live stream the whole roll, something like that. So, and we just sort of put it on December, which is a week after our last event this year. Not too far into December that we're sort of sitting on top of Christmas, but it still feels like the end of the year. So, next year, people will be able to set up their pages right at the beginning of the year. So it becomes a whole year-long fundraising thing. We've always been trying to get our fundraisers to, not just stop when the event stops, especially for the events that happen in like January and February. I don't want their fundraising for the year to stop, in the first month. So we came up with a $10,000 TC Oasis perk, which is, if you raise $10,000 and you have the whole year to do it, your fundraising pages stay open after your event. You go on a trip to Mexico with us for a jiu-jitsu camp called BJJ in Paradise. But when that will happen, who knows? But we'll make it happen at some point. So everyone will sort of get together wherever they are on December 12th and do their hour roll. And then leading up to it, they will fundraise. And what's been great is the partnership aspect of it too. After we put the post out on Instagram and Facebook, all the comments started flooding in of like, because we said tag your partner. So it's a bunch of people sort of asking, their best training partner to be their Global Grappling Day partner. We had a video posted of like the promposal type things. It was, be my, he used candy bar puns, and he made a whole sign asking his buddy to be his Global Grappling Day partner. So, and you're going to see some special Tap Cancer Out ones coming out too, that I think are hysterical. Everyone's going to think stupid, but just the whole people asking other people to be their partner seems fun, and it has the same structure as our tournaments in terms of fundraising perks. We actually have more fundraising perks than our tournament. So we have a patch design that I actually haven't even released publicly. It's on the site now because I just updated it. So this could be a Verbal Tap exclusive, but it's on that page that you had just brought up. But
okay,
if you raise $100, you get a custom Global Grappling Day patch. So we'll change it every year.
Okay.
So eventually, you can have all of the Global Grappling Day patches sort of on your back. And I wanted like a really cool design, something that wasn't overly Tap Cancer Out, sort of in the same way that our fundraiser shirt and all our other, branded gear is very much Tap Cancer Out branded. This is like Global Grappling Day first. And then we're actually, another exclusive, we should shortly have Tap Cancer Out masks, as has become a norm. So that's going to become a perk. So actually the patch is going to move down to $100. The mask will be a $200 perk. Then you have $400 fundraiser tee, $600 hoodie or rash guard, $1,000 backpack, $2,000 gi. If you raise $10,000, that's a trip to Mexico. Plus we'll of course have awards for the top individual fundraiser. So, people can still earn all of those perks. We have a new gi coming out at probably in the next 2 weeks. That's pretty sick. So yeah, it's, you can create impact, but still get rewarded. And I think that's always been the appeal of Tap Cancer Out. And we're happy to send out these perks. They absolutely earn all of these perks. And so, we appreciate all the support. So, we've had a ton of people sign up already, and, but what's great is all you need is one partner and 1 hour, and just join us on December 12th.
So, I'm a marketing guy as well. and I couldn't help but take a stab at this. So I'm going to pull this up. I love, obviously, this is true to y'all's mantra, fighting for those in the fight of their lives, 100% the area you should be going. I'm just going to see if I can help out with a little bit of these taglines to see if we can get people more interested. Global Grappling Day, December 12th, because what are you going to eat this Christmas? Think about it. You probably need that workout for a full hour. So, which I think gives way.
It's not that far removed from Thanksgiving either. So if you just say like, remember what you ate on Thanksgiving, it could be something like that.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. I think the problem is most Americans, if you look at most charts, don't think about, oh, I did that. They think about, oh, right, this is coming up. Because whatever happened in the past, they go, I've dealt with that.
Right.
That's in the past. But if you tell them, like, for real, are you going to put down that tamale if you have the opportunity? Right. No, you're going to roll for an hour with one of your buddies, which I think segues nicely to this, I guess, pandemic-specific 2020 Global Grappling Day. Because have you looked in a mirror lately? You need it. Is that good? Do you like that one? Is that about?
I think you need to get on board with our positivity.
Hey, I don't need to get on board with anything. I am an independent counsel on all of these matters.
All right. This is all free.
This
I better not be getting charged.
Yeah, 100% how I bring my guests on to just get charged. That's actually the best racket of all. Well, I would say the other thing is, if you are looking at doing this, and I'll give this one to you full pro bono.
Wow.
Because you said that this was
very kind.
You're welcome. You said that you were working on some fun things. I don't know if you've ever thought about this or this was in the makings, but one sketch I've been too lazy to do is I really do feel like someone should make a Tinder version of grappling partners that you just kind of go, no. Oh, does beer and bolo. Okay, that's against my game. I'm good with that. We had toyed with that for years, and every time I would tell that sketch to somebody, they'd be like, "Oh my god, you have to make it." And I was like, "I know, but I also have to shoot it. And I'm too lazy. I'm not going to do that." So I think that goes along with your prom theme about choosing that one partner, because the other thing is, other people might get really jealous they aren't getting selected as the partner, and then you get a real Seinfeld episode out of the whole thing. So okay.
In a brainstorm, no idea is a bad idea. So that'll go up on the wall. I don't know if it'll ever come off. But well, it does sort of fit. This is all about, finding that right person. So it's not as bad as your taglines, I'll say.
Hey, well, first of all, those taglines are great. They may not be good for what you need, but they're great for our brand and what we do. Well, I guess, before we start to circle, I would say this. How has your training been? Because you dedicate so much of your time helping others. Have you had to just shut down completely? How are things where you are?
I haven't trained since February. And not even any underground training or nothing. We actually invested in a Peloton bike towards the end of last year. So that's actually been a lifesaver. I ride almost every day. But so that's sort of, how I've tried to stay fit. Like our kids are in the house all the time. And so, we're always just dealing with that. And for the most part, schools have opened around here in Connecticut. It's the one good thing Connecticut has ever done is our case rate here is under 1%. So schools have opened. My school's 45 minutes away. So it's a whole thing to get there. And that, it's a lot of stress on my mind, and I'm around my kids and I'm around my in-laws, and, so we're just focusing on keeping our heads straight, keeping our business above water, and making sure our kids are sort of happy because they've been stuck in our house for God knows how long. And, they'll be distance learning for school and stuff. So they'll be in there even more. So the quicker I could get my exercise done, the better. I can't run. Thank you, jiu-jitsu. My hips are dead. So yeah, I can't even jump rope. So, but the bike, I could do the bike. So I've just been sticking with that.
I'm curious to know this because I guess we might be in a little bit of an overlap here, but does doing something that helps people through jiu-jitsu kind of offset a little bit of not being able to train?
100%. Oh yeah, for sure. I feel part of jiu-jitsu, like I'm doing jiu-jitsu every day in some way, like dealing with the jiu-jitsu community and thinking about our events. And I love doing our tournaments because I get sort of that tournament high and I get the butterflies too. I'm probably more nervous before a tournament that I'm running than a tournament I'm actually competing in. But yeah, so I sort of get all of the tournament experience, but I don't have to go out there on the mat and lose. So after every event, you know, as long as there's no like horrific injury, I feel like it's a great day and I feel like I won, you know? Whereas if I actually go to a tournament, I'm going to lose. I'm going to feel like a loser and I'm going to hate myself. And then I'm going to wish I never did that, but then I'm going to want to compete again. So yeah, hosting all of our events, I still get that tournament experience. So, you know, I don't think I'll be competing that much more, but yeah, just doing Tap Cancer Out, I definitely feel part of jiu-jitsu, even though I don't get to train.
Good for you. And I tell people
also the other, like, I know almost nobody else is training. Like, it's not, if it was just me, if I like broke my leg and I was out for however long, like that would be excruciating, you know, seeing everybody training and competing and like doing all that, like that would suck. Knowing that everyone else is sort of in the same boat, nobody, you know, then it's sort of easier because then I don't have all the FOMO, you know, most people are missing out on jiu-jitsu anyways. So, yeah, so it's okay. Well, I'll get back eventually.
You should see more of your Instagram stories to know people are getting back slowly but surely. And
they are.
Yeah, I mean, the weird part is this.
We have competitors who are competing in our showcase. So, I mean, they're training. I get it. I'm not judging anybody about that. Yeah. I want our competitors to train. I don't want them to walk out there and break every bone in their body because they're out of shape. But you
don't want those early prelims on UFC Fight Island where you go, they have not been training. This is rough.
Right.
Well, that's good. Hey, man, and I can tell you this. I mean, as somebody who covers events, I always explain to people, you know, for most of the competitors, when they finish the tournament is when my competition starts. So to me, it's like, oh, I have to go interview people. But that's where I'm doing my thing. Like, that's my euphoric high that I get, that they understand to some degree. But it's always funny because they're on their downslope, but I'm like, no, come back up. No. You gotta be good because this interview can't suck. And if it sucks, it's all on you, not me, because I have great interviews. So I would say that. Well, great. That's wonderful to know. And I'm very excited about you guys basically mirroring the schedule in 2021. I think that's really good. And like I said, I was a little disappointed I didn't get to make my way out to San Diego this year, but hopefully next year, all things considered, when you guys come back on out to the West Coast, I can see you guys again, because I would love to do that. I always love going to support that. It's one of my favorite tournament experiences that I think I've ever gotten to cover. So I would love to see you guys back out here.
We'll be back out there.
So why don't we go ahead and do this? Why don't we go ahead and plug where the people can find, where can they donate, what can they do to support? Sure. Let's give them that, sir.
So if you want to get involved in Global Grappling Day, which I hope you do, just go to globalgrapplingday.com, or you can just go to tapcancerout.org, and click on the Global Grappling Day banner. If you want to fight on one of our showcases, the Connecticut card's full, but the rest of the cards will open on August 17th. So that's Charlotte, Massachusetts, Baltimore, and Philly, not in that order. So if you want to fight in any of those, it's just subonlyshowcase.com and you can apply and we'll get back to you. And then otherwise, give us a follow on Instagram at TapCancerOut, Facebook at TapCancerOut, tapcancerout.org. That's it.
I made it all the way throughout this interview And I guess by large and proxy, knowing you for a good number of years. But it's finally hit me now what your voice sounds like.
What is that?
Have you been told that your voice vaguely sounds like John Mulaney?
No, never.
It is a little there. And I think that it's more there than you might know. As a person who does impressions, I usually just try to pitchfork a little bit with the ear. And there are at least a couple times where you kind of sounded similar to Mulaney. And I was like, I can't stop hearing it. Half the time we were talking on this interview, I was just sitting there being like, he does sound a little like Mulaney doing stand-up right now.
Okay, well, all right. I don't know if that's the sound that I want, but I will say I think John and I are very much on the same wavelength in terms of his perspective on things, and I absolutely loved all of his comedy specials on Netflix and stuff. So I'm going to take this as a compliment.
You should.
And we'll just go with that.
Yeah, that's great. And I hope that you continue to not train so that when I see you the next time, you are weak enough to be at my level, because that would be glorious.
Okay, you got it.
Fair enough. All right, John, stick around. I'll talk to you off air. I'm just going to close this up real quick.
No problem.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for tuning in today. We're going to have some more interviews throughout the week. We're working on some. I don't want to say names. Nah, I'm not going to say names. I will tell you this. We have some good interviews coming up, not just this week, but next week. We're going to be recording our next episode of A Verbal Tap tonight, which means it goes up later this evening, early tomorrow for some of you who want to go ahead and give that a listen. But before we go, a quick reminder, go to Nogi BJJ Gear, buy yourself some gear there, put whatever you want in the cart, take 15% off by using the promotional code GrapplingHour15. And that's it. That's all we got for you today. We appreciate your time. As always, it's been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.